Hi friends, Don Barar here with the May 2026 Real Estate Review and Market Forecast for Fountain Hills. Some of you may be wondering why I chose a damaged World War II bomber for my thumbnail. There's a reason for this, as something odd is going on with the close of escrows. Let's look at the chart for home sales in Fountain Hills. For March, actual close of escrows fell short of predicted number by 8 units. Then for April, actual close of escrows were short of the predicted number by 19 units, a whopping 30%. What really puzzled me was that when I looked at median close of escrow time for April, it was the standard 30 days. After all, sellers want their money so they can get on with life. Even though the number of homes under contract, accepting backups, and pending status were very high at 65 units, many of these homes just failed to close escrow. What was going on? Then I remembered a story from World War II. During the war, B-17 bombers suffered extraordinary losses. Being a member of a B-17 crew was the absolute worst job you could have because the losses were so very high. Aircraft that returned from their bombing runs were absolutely shot to hell. The U.S. Army looked at these heavily damaged aircraft and erroneously concluded that adding more armor to the B-17s in the damaged locations would lower losses. Seemed reasonable, right? Yet, even though the B-17s had more armor, the losses remained staggeringly high. To understand and reduce B-17 losses, the Army consulted with Columbia University's Statistical Research Group. The individual that headed up Columbia's team was Abraham Wald. Wald looked at the data and came up with a brilliant conclusion. He hypothesized that aircraft that returned with damage would continue to fly. There was no need to provide additional protection, as the Army had been doing in these damaged areas. Wald further stated that to reduce losses, the Army needed to protect those areas that were not damaged. These were the areas on the B-17 that if they were hit by enemy fire, the aircraft would be destroyed and never return to base. The concept of survivor bias was born and suggests why forecasts for close of escrows are coming up short. On April 30, only 44 properties closed escrow when I had predicted 65 units. Also, the same 44 homes closed escrow with a standard close of escrow time of 30 days. So there was nothing wrong, right? Well, wrong. My prediction of 65 units had survivor bias because it did not account for those homes that I counted in my forecast that failed to close escrow. At the beginning of April, there were 44 homes that had March contracts. In the past, these homes would have generally closed during the normal 30-day period, and the forecast would have been correct. Yet, the situation changed. Of those 44 homes with March contracts, 14 homes, about 32%, failed to close escrow. As of May 11th, these same homes had been in escrow a median time of 45 days, much longer than the standard close of escrow of 30 days. There could be several reasons for this, but very likely it's related to events in the Middle East. Going forward, I will be making a change to how I estimate the number of properties that will close escrow. In April, only 68% of the properties that had contracts in March closed escrow. If we apply this same factor to the 28 April contracts, I estimate the number of closes of escrows for May will be 36 units. This is 9 units less than the 45 units I would have predicted using past methodology. Once the world settles down, I'll go back to the old method that worked so well in the past. On to the rest of the report. For April, median selling price was $820,000, while median selling price per square foot remained about the same as last month at $361. To begin May, inventory remained about the same at 136 units. 2026 spring inventory represents a significant departure from the past years, where inventories of single-family detached homes rose through May, then began to decline. I suspect there are 3 reasons behind this. 1, events in the Middle East. 2, rising interest rates. And 3, negative reports on housing prices in the mainstream media. All these may be impacting homeowners' perception on whether or not they can sell their homes for a good price. But as I detailed in last April's report, home prices are not declining in Fountain Hills. In fact, prices are either stable or might even be rising. Let's look at the inventory turn rate. This is calculated by taking the current inventory of homes and dividing by the number of homes sold the previous month. Inventory turn rate is a terrific measure of determining whether it's a buyer's or a seller's market. A result greater than 6 months inventory is a buyer's market, and less than 4 months inventory is a seller's market. Anything between 4 and 6 months inventory is considered a neutral market in which neither buyers or sellers have the upper hand in negotiations, and prices tend to be stable. We begin May with an inventory turn rate of 3 months, a seller's market, a little higher than the 2.8 months I forecast at the beginning of April. Sellers have generally slowed the rate at which they are listing their homes as we close out the 2026 home selling season. Since there's so few homes available and sales remain relatively high, I forecast inventory turn rate about 3.8 months, a weak seller's market. Prices for the balance of the selling season will continue to remain about the same as they have been since January, at about $365 per square foot for a nominal living area of about 2,500 square feet. That's it for the May 2026 Fountain Hills Market Report. If you have not already done so, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Arizona Real Estate with Don Barar, and I'll be certain to get you more great real estate videos and where to go and what to do in the Valley of the Sun. Talk with you soon.